Hello everybody, and welcome to our first Design Peaks video. Today we're going to take a look at a design that we've been cooking up for an upcoming robot. This one is going to be a 150 gram overhead bar spinner named Spooky. It scales down a lot of the ideas from Phantom 2, adds in some new ideas. We designed this for the EndBots 3D printed design contest on the EndBots forum, and we actually got second place. So we're going to get all the 3D printed parts printed for us, as well as a $25 EndBots gift certificate, so we're pretty excited about that. Let's look at some of the design elements here. So, obviously overhead bar spinner. We try to reduce the blade height as much as possible, so there are a few features in there that do that. One of which is it's direct driven on the motor, so we can see the motor in here is direct driving the bar from underneath. And then we have this weapon hub here, and this weapon hub will actually lock into the top of the motor, designed around the rotor pattern on top of the brushless motor, and then it's got this space in here to lock in the bar. That'll hopefully take some load off of the aluminum prop shaft on the motor. Those can be known to shear, although on a 150 gram robot we're not sure that there's any danger of that. But hey, 3D printed parts are the whole deal here. So these are all going to be printed out of mark-forged onyx, which is pretty exciting. That's a mixture of nylon and carbon fiber. It's a nylon filament with chopped carbon fiber bits inside it to make it a little bit more rigid. They have a really nice print quality on those mark-forged printers too, so EndBots will do a lot of those parts for a pretty reasonable price if they're small parts. We use Onyx parts on Phantom 2 and Vortex all the time. They're pretty nifty as a replacement for something that you'd otherwise have to machine or print out of a less sturdy filament. But let's get into the rest of the design. So this design has a 6-inch weapon bar that should spin somewhere around 20,000 RPM. It's hard to find a low RPM motor, but hey, more RPMs are more better for a spinner, right? So 6-inch blade. The one in here right now, the part of the contest was to put this robot on Thingiverse for anyone to print and use if they want. So we designed it to be used around just a strip of metal, a strip of aluminum, 7075 aluminum from Online Metals, and that's fairly easy to get. You can just put in a custom size on Online Metals. It's 1/8 inch thick, 6 inch by 0.6 inches here, and that's on the Thingiverse page. I'll have a link to that in the description. And all you got to do is find the geometric center of it, drill a hole, and you've got a weapon bar. So that's minimal machining to do. We wanted this robot to be incredibly easy to build, and yeah, so that's one of the features of it. Another thing that we're considering here, because a friend of ours is doing a titanium water jet order soon, and is thinking about squeezing us into it. So we're thinking about also a 16th inch titanium weapon bar, and that'll be a little bit more fancy because of the water jet. But that's not going to be expected of somebody who wants to build this off of Thingiverse. So yeah, that's the weapon bar design and the weapon hub. So that's how the weapon gets driven. Let's take a look inside here. So if we take this top panel, which is separate from the rest of the frame, we can lift it off the robot here. That should be fine. And then I'll actually turn it off so we can see in there. I'll turn the blade off too. So here we can see some of the innards. Two N20 motors from the drive. We wanted everything to be kind of, as much as possible, available from EndBots, so we went for 2 of those. 3D printed wheels. They're going to require some kind of liquid rubbery coating like goop or silicone or something. The reason we went with custom wheels here is because we wanted to integrate these pulleys into the wheel design, and that'll have a round belt go in between the 2 wheels, so we can have 4-wheel drive off of 2 motors. That's pretty unique for a 150 gram robot to fit 4-wheel drive in there, especially one that's this low profile, so we had to keep the weapon height as low as possible. Another thing about this drive setup is that the motors here are going to be clamp mounted and supported by clamp mounted bearings in here. The bearings aren't catted at the moment, but in this little gap here there'll be a bearing that supports that axle so that if the wheel does get hit, hopefully the motor won't take any damage. And the 3D printed frame holds these motors in place between the contour there. Got this profile here that kind of holds onto the edge of the motor. And then when we have the top panel, the profile coming down here kind of completes that. So we'll be able to hold the motors in without actually bolting them in place. So they'll just be float mounted. That's how the motors are actually mounted in Phantom 2 also. And it's been pretty effective for us. We haven't broken very many motors. We've only had actually one motor break in Phantom 2 over all of its fights. That was when Zero Traction came in and hit one of the wheel hubs. It's the only time we've ever actually taken a wheel hit from another robot. But yeah, we're fairly confident that those motors should be fine, especially because it's a 150 gram robot. But since these aren't foam wheels, they're Onyx, we wanted to make sure that the motors wouldn't take any damage. So if we get rid of that top panel again, we take a look at, we wanted this robot also to be as cheap as possible. So we included this Hobby King 6-channel receiver, which is pretty bulky, takes up a lot of the robot, as well as this 2S Hobby King battery that's just 180 milliamp hour. It's actually, Phantom 2 has 4 of these that are at 3S, so it should be enough battery for this robot. Going to take a little bit of creativity with this receiver. I just put this in as a space analog. It's not a very good model, but these are supposed to represent the pins. And when you try to plug in a pin or a wire on these pins, it does get a little bit taller than that, and so that won't really fit in the frame. So what we're going to have to do is actually take the ESC wires, cut off the plug, and solder them to the receiver for maximum cheapness, because I guess I would rather do that than spend some money on a higher grade transmitter. That'll be just the same transmitter I've been running for Phantom 2 and Tirade. Our teammate who runs Vortex has a bit nicer of a transmitter, and Endbots actually offers the DESC with a Lemon receiver. A Lemon RX is what it's written as on their website, and that is much more compact if you want to go that route, but that requires a little bit more expensive of a transmitter than the one I have, so that's what I'm doing here. And then I'm just going to have an Endbots budget DESC and the weapon ESC stack on top of this receiver, on top of the low part, because there's nothing else there. The antenna will kind of come out. It'll go under the under this wedge here. All right, yeah. So that's basically the design. One other thing here is that these front wheels, they're exposed. So one thing with that was just space, trying to make everything fit in the robot, but also with the way that this design, with the way Phantom and this robot Spooky drive upside down, what we're hoping is that these exposed front wheels, as the floor and the wall make a kind of 90-degree angle, that these wheels will drive on the wall as the robot drives upside down toward the wall and help it climb up the wall and hopefully self-right using only the drive. And if this works decently, then we might use it in a future version of Phantom. Maybe Phantom 3 will have more powerful drive motors and belts and exposed front wheels, maybe with a hinged wedge in front to protect them that can fold out of the way when self-righting. Yeah, I'm hoping to make the first overhead bar spinner here that can self-right using only the drive, and if it works I'll apply that to Phantom. That would be pretty exciting to do. The 3D printed wheels with a traction covering are another thing that we're thinking about doing in Phantom if they work well for this, because we'd like to have a little bit more traction. Lots of ideas for that. So let's get everything reassembled here. Get a little bit of a preview of Fusion 360 here that we use to CAD. Back on there. Show this titanium blade, it looks pretty cool. Just whip this up in CAD. So yeah, that's the robot. Probably won't have a power switch. I'll probably just have to reach in here and unplug the battery through that gap or something. Not sure how that's going to work yet. I'll have to figure something out there. might involve some tape. This robot is pretty close to the weight limit, so I'm just gonna see if I can experiment with the blade design and get some of the weight down. It's like 149 grams according to my spreadsheet. Oh, fun thing, this robot only is gonna require like 7 screws total. The frame is gonna have 3. There's gonna be this one holding the top plate on, so one really to hold the frame together. I'm gonna have 2 more M3 bolts that are gonna act as dead axles for these wheels. And then each wheel will have a bearing in it. The front wheels will. That'll hold those in and make it so that if they get hit, the frame isn't going to take much damage, the motors aren't going to take damage from the front wheels getting hit. And then there's going to be the screws to hold the weapon motor on. So if I use all 4 screws, then the robot will have 7 total screws in it. Maybe I can get away with only 2 screws on the weapon motor, we'll see. And then if you count this prop shaft, that's 8. But yeah, that is our 150 gram mini Phantom named Spooky. So looking forward to building this in about a month when I'm on winter break, and I'm looking forward to making more of these design peek videos. Show you guys maybe what's in store for Phantom and Tirade and what I'm going to do going forward here. Hope this was fun to watch. As always, happy roboting. Thanks for watching. Decided to try something new here, give you guys some more updates on designs and stuff. As I get more time over the coming breaks, maybe I'll film some more of these. So let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks!